Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. All right, welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast. Come on in, bring yourself a ringside seat here, put your jacket on, because I think we forgot to pay the heating bill here in the studio, Frank.
Uh-oh, what you got going on there?
It don't feel a little cold in here to you?
No, not so far. I mean, I'm all energized. I'm hot right now.
I mean, so. I see my breath. I mean, did hell freeze over? Is that what happened?
Either I must still be in the midst of it because we're coming in hot today. You're on one page, I'm on the other. Hell must have froze over, but now it feels like it's smoking hot.
I think I can confirm that hell actually did freeze over because, oh my God, we just saw CM Punk back in a WWE ring.
Yeah, we did. Well, I saw it. You almost missed it. You were wandering off. And
almost miss
going
it.
Going to have a good night and wandering off there to miss the whole setup.
Damn you, Triple H, and your false graphic in the corner making me think that it was over.
He said, "What a good setup." I mean, you got to give him credit. What a way to sell it, right?
And he's done that a couple times.
Yeah, I heard somebody talking about that was a staple of his in NXT that he's done. He did that a few different times too.
He did that when Ciampa turned on Gargano the first time, and that was kind of like we thought it was going off the air, and then all of a sudden just the beat down came, and you're going, what just happened?
I remember where I heard it too. Sean Ross Sapp was on Busted Open, and he said that he was taking notes during the pay-per-view. He said when the logo came up, he said, okay, guess that's it. Said he put his notepad down, he was getting up, getting ready to turn the channel over to football, college football. And then all of a sudden, he saw the graphic pop up there. And then, he like flipped out, like froze, like, oh my God. And I'm like, wow. I mean, like I said, I remember as it was going, I'm just sitting there looking. And behind the scenes, we were watching together, and you were like up and getting ready to
I was getting ready to go get a drink.
And I literally was like, oh my God, they're doing it. I mean, that was all I could even get out to get you to turn around and look. I couldn't even focus on saying like, oh my God, look, or hey, watch, or all I could get out of my mouth in the moment was, oh my God, they're doing it. Yep. And then when you turned around and saw that graphic flashing up, I mean, we were so loud we couldn't hear the music, so it didn't like we knew for sure, but you could see that graphic floating there.
Yeah, that was definitely something. And kudos to Triple H, kudos to Nick Khan, kudos to CM Punk for in this day and age keeping stuff like that quiet and still keeping the kayfabe alive because that's the only kayfabe you get in this industry anymore.
Yeah, that's all that's left. I mean, they lucked up though because it was in Chicago, so he's local to Allstate Arena. Well, not really. I mean, also Rosemont is a little bit outside of Chicago. Again, behind the scenes for those who've never been there, it's, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes away from O'Hare in traffic, but he lives there. So, I mean, he knows where to go, where he won't be seen. He knows how to move around where he, won't be out in the public. It isn't like he had to fly into the airport where 10 million fans would see him and say, why is CM Punk in Chicago? I did see somebody post that, though, early in the day. They said, oh, my God, I saw CM Punk at the coffee shop. And it's like, yeah, no shit. He lives there. He probably was at the coffee shop. But it was a kind of tongue-in-cheek. The guy was kind of posted just to make fun of the situation. Then when he popped up, it's like, oh, my God, But, yeah, there was no better way they could have hit it. I'm actually glad they did it at Survivor Series. Yeah. I know there was a lot of talk about Royal Rumble and all that. They couldn't have concealed it the same way at the Rumble that they did in Chicago.
In the open.
Yeah, at some point or another, he would have got seen, and it would have been like, why is he in town right now in Tampa? He don't have no reason to be in Tampa. He's not there for AEW, so why is he not there? I guess we know who ate the devil. So I mean, that kind of eggs along another storyline. We'll have to see where that goes.
And I'll go ahead and throw some shade on that because TK, if you're pushing Jack Perry as the devil, you done messed up.
Yeah, it's too late. He should have pulled the trigger last week at the pay-per-view because now that now
looks like you're just trying to retaliate at this point.
At this point that's exactly what it's going to look like because you're going to take the guy that was involved in the backstage skirmish with Punk and then you're going to stick him in a storyline, main event storyline, like right away.
Yep.
You're not going to pay it off and give him the title, which means you're just going to react. You're going to be reactionary instead of proactive.
Best case scenario right now is it's Adam Cole. That's best.
That's the only way the story's going to be any good. Because I mean, what do Jack Perry and MJF have short of quote unquote being the pillars of AEW? They did that on Angle already. So what do they have, an issue for other than the fact that you're going to hurry up and try and get him into some kind of angle because Punk just popped up on the other channel? That's way too obvious. So at this point now, make it Adam Cole or make it somebody completely off the radar. Like, we talked about Swerve or somebody like that. Make it somebody like that, but don't try and react to this situation and throw Jungle Boy in the mix and cause all that confusion.
Well, let's talk about somebody else that returned real quick. I don't want to the CM Punk thing to overshadow the fact that we saw Randy.
We got to talk about R-Truth. I know that's where you're going here. I know that's where you're heading. Dude, we got to talk him up.
Dude, that dude never needs to go away again. R-Truth just needs to stay on my screen forever until the end of time.
Absolutely. And if he never wrestles, I'll even be okay with that at this point.
That, dude. Just the fact that he plays that it's not a dipshit role.
No, it's like he's on another planet.
Yeah, it's like everything is just so forward and spun ass backwards for him.
Like you said, it's not even a dumbass role. It's more along the lines of he's operating on a completely different plane than all the rest of. Did you see a segment on Monday?
Yes.
I mean,
the jelly rolls. Oh my god!
But when he came out and he told Judgment Day, he's like, "Hey, I want to be y'all's fifth member." I mean,
I want to be there with the War Games.
Yeah, he's like, and they're like, that happened already. What are you talking about?
Did we win?
Right. He's like, well, did we? How'd I do in the match?
I love it.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's so much like he's operating on a completely different. You know how we talk about the multiverse and things like that? Sometimes it's like truth is in that other version of the multiverse.
That's a great comparison.
Which makes it hilarious because when you look at it like, man, if there was any situation in the real world where somebody's operating in the wrong multiverse, it's R-Truth, and that makes it hilarious.
I love it.
Funny as hell.
I love everything they're doing with it. Just keep doing it. And again, I'm with you. I don't care if he gets in the ring again. I don't care if he has another match.
Truth's up there. He's he's knocking on 50 right now. You don't need to be in the ring every week.
Still in hella good shape.
So he doesn't look. He looks like, I want to say my age, but he kind of is my age. So I guess he don't look my age. But I mean, he still looks like a young boy on the roster. He doesn't have that age to him yet. But he's in phenomenal shape. I mean, speaking of phenomenal shape, Randy Orton's return.
So Randy looks like he just stepped out of WWE 2K23.
Somehow or another he breaks his back, gets it double fused, and I guess they fused his abs while they were in there because Jesus.
That dude put on at least 20-25 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, and he's cut. I mean, it didn't like he just gained weight.
No.
He bulked up and got cut. It's like, what the hell?
And Corey even commented Monday night. He was like, hey, man, whatever his regimen is, I need to be on it.
Absolutely.
Because that dude, I mean, he had to change his regiment to protect his back. And obviously, if you're going to be taking bumps, well, it's Randy. If you're going to take a bump.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's only really going to take one. Yeah.
But if you're going to take bumps like that and you got spinal fusion, I mean, of course, you're going to build the muscles around your spine.
Absolutely.
You're going to protect that. But damn, Randy just said, well, if I'm building one, I'm going to build them all.
Yeah, you might as well go for the gold on this. But
I mean, that dude is jacked to the roof. But
unfortunately, the surgery that Randy had, I feel like, with his finisher, I feel like when he's 30 years from now, he's going to sound just like Hulk Hogan, where Hulk Hogan says, I should have done the sleeper. Because Hogan with that big leg drop and then, 12 back surgeries later. So hopefully Randy doesn't have 11 more in his future. Hopefully he can avoid that. But
I hope he don't. I mean, if he changes it, I don't know how you're going to top the damn RKO off somebody off the top of the cage. I mean, holy crap.
Well, at least he got that moment in, but before he had to change. I mean, I guess he could change it to the punt. He did the punt for a while, although concussion syndrome might not let the punt be a finisher anymore.
But kudos to you, JD McDonough, for taking that move like a champ that you did.
And then he came out neck strong on Monday. I was like, what the hell? We already got one of these, neck brace angles going on here. We can't have another one.
I was like,
here.
are they putting the Diamond Mine back together?
I mean, what the hell? You see him come struggling out there, and it's like, well, they had Diamond Mine was on when the Creed brothers came out there.
Yep.
Which a little bit of irony. I know we're not going to get into Creed brothers and all of Raw, but I found it ironic when the Creed brothers came out there, and then Austin Creed came out with Creed on his jersey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude,
part of the game.
This ain't the segment to wear this damn particular shirt. I get it, you want to wear it, but come on.
So let's talk about did you see the way though that he was delivering their finishing move and he protected everybody until he got to Imperium, and when they did it on Imperium, he just landed completely wrong. Did you see that?
Dude, by that point, I feel like he was gassed. I mean, they were 3 matches in and 3 finishers.
He landed straight on that dude's ribs.
Yeah, he landed right on. I mean, he's supposed to tuck and then, kind of glance off of him and then kind of bounce off the body, and then they both kind of fall on the side. Yeah, he landed right on.
I was like, I feel your pain, dude.
Yeah, as soon as they landed, I'm like, well, that guaranteed is the finish.
That's over.
Yeah, there ain't no way anybody's getting up from them.
Yeah, but Randy coming back, though, it was awesome to see him in the War Games match. Obviously, they were able to protect him a lot in that match just because, I mean, you're in there with 10 other guys. Yeah. You're not the focal, so you can...
And he was last.
He was last.
So like he was the first guy. He didn't have to go 40 minutes.
But seeing him actually come to the ring Monday night and seeing how thankful he was... And he took a minute, and you could tell it got to him for a minute. You could tell he was like, oh, wow, I really didn't think I was ever going to be able to do this again.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see him come back from legit injury, just like it was cool to see Edge come back, Bryan Danielson come back. Yeah. I mean, those...
With a lot shorter window, though. I mean, Randy, Randy, when he got a lot shorter window, he wasn't out forever.
Well, Randy,
those guys were gone for years and years.
Randy got that Triple H John Cena treatment.
Oh, yeah. You give him stem cell and all that stuff that we don't really know about on this side of the wall. Yeah, they gave him the top treatment.
Yeah, because, Triple H and John Cena used to come back. Oh, they're superhuman. They came back within so-and-so months.
And I mean, Randy's... I don't know if he's 40 yet. He might be 40. I know he was younger than Cena and them when they came in. So at the oldest, he's maybe 41, 42. So Randy's got a few good years left in him if this surgery took. If everything holds up like it's supposed to. I mean, clearly, like I said, he reconstructed his body to overcompensate for any softness he may have had in his back.
In the match Monday night with him and Dom, I mean, he was the one throwing Dom around. So I don't think there's going to be too many people throwing Randy around.
No, at this stage, there's not many that can.
I think those days are over.
Yeah, we're at a smaller version of WWE anyway. They're in John Cena in there to flip him around and stuff like that.
He's not going to get
Randy's the biggest. He's one of the bigger guys out there now. So, yeah, he ain't going to take a lot of falling and
he ain't going to be in there pushing around Otis or anybody like that. So, yeah. But definitely cool to see Randy come back. Definitely cool to see R-Truth. But let's talk about the man of the hour, who we're talking about for our podcast title, Hell Froze Over, CM Punk. So him coming out, first off, they swerved us all, twice, 3 times in one night?
Yeah.
I mean, first off, you get the whole tease of, is Randy going to be here?
Yeah, Randy didn't show.
So we didn't know. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Now all of a sudden you're like, okay, now this is how you're going to bring out Punk. Okay, I see it coming.
And then we got the swerve of the Money in the Bank cash in.
Yeah, when no one came out. They played Randy's music and nothing happened. The timer went off. Everybody just sat. Then all of a sudden, Rhea bolted out there with the briefcase, and it's like, oh my God, that's how they're going to get away from this whole CM Punk thing, because now they're not even, Randy's not even coming now. We're just going to get a cash in. We're about to get a new world heavyweight champion.
Yep, and I thought it was legitimately going to happen.
Oh, too. Absolutely.
Because what a perfect scenario that would have been, though, because, I mean, nobody's cashed in War Games like that.
No, absolutely not. It'd have been, as original as when Seth did it at WrestleMania. You come out in the wrong kind of match, completely turn the match on its ear, which, if for whatever reason or another there wasn't a Randy Orton and there wasn't a CM Punk, I feel like they would have pulled that trigger because they would have had to give us something to overcompensate for. Why aren't we getting one of our stars?
And I mean, they had the advantage. They got the 5 on the 4, advantage. So that would have freed up Damian Priest to do what he was going to do.
Yep.
So it was a perfect scenario. But then that was a swerve because here comes Randy.
Yep. Then all of a sudden Randy's music plays. And now you're sitting there like, oh my God. And then when he came out, I mean, his look.
Yep.
He took his casual stroll down to the ring, just kind of soaked it all in. And the fans gave him every bit of it. At that point, I feel like they immediately got the whole CM Punk thing out of their minds because they thought they were going to get the
nobody was worried about
title
Punk.
change. Yeah. And then all of a sudden when Randy came out, they were able to shower all that, welcome back and the praise and all that other on him because they weren't expecting anything else at that point.
Kudos to how that was booked because that was brilliant. Yeah. That was a brilliant move.
That was the only way it would have been successful. Yeah. Anything else like that, you would have either got Randy booed, which is definitely not where you wanted to go because they would have been thinking it was Punk and then they would have booed Randy, or had the title change went over. I mean, the fans, it would have been it would have been electric in there because anytime a title change happens, I mean, it's a chaos atmosphere anyway, especially in that kind of makeup. The fans would have been all over the place. You'd have had some booing, some cheering, some just in awe. You might even got that moment where some guy was sitting there with that shocked face like the Undertaker guy. Yeah, I mean, all that kind of stuff was out there. And then, after the match was over, and you're like, okay, that emotional roller coaster, you done been up, down, up, down. Now the faces win, happy all over, everybody's cheering. And then, for the people in the arena, you could see them. I mean, people were getting up, they were heading out to the door.
You had the five guys. You had the five guys doing the beauty shot in the ring, the celebration, all of them standing in a row. Everything was great.
Yep.
And then here comes the third swerve. The little graphic pops up in the screen, and then CM Punk's music hits.
Yep.
That place came unglued, and the whole community of wrestling fans just came unglued.
Oh yeah, I mean,
so
at home, Tony Khan literally came unglued. I told you what he was doing there. I won't repeat it. I won't repeat it for the podcast.
We got a PG show.
Yeah, exactly. It's a podcast show, but I you know what he was doing. I mean,
but
with a tear in his eye, as Ric Flair would say, with a tear in his eye.
But we also talked about, just think about the things that we have seen within the past 20 years as wrestling fans. You've seen things like, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels make amends. We saw Ultimate Warrior come back into WWE and get inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Yep, stand in a WWE ring and give a promo, his last promo.
You saw Becky and Charlotte.
Same night. Kind of saw them rekindled.
Let bygones be bygones. But just what a crazy, crazy, crazy thing, because Punk talked so much crap. I mean, just so much stuff happened, and you would just think there's no way that could ever, come back together. Like it was, the bridge was burnt. It was too far gone.
Yeah.
No way to save it. I mean, the only thing you could do was scrap and start over. But in reality, Triple H kind of said that in the press conference. That's kind of what they did.
Yeah, I mean, he said it's a clean slate.
It's a clean slate. He said
that was 10 years ago and we're all completely different people.
We're a different company now.
Yeah, and like he said, if, for all of us, and that's all of us, if any of us are the same person that we were 10 years ago.
We did something wrong.
Well, there's shame on us. I mean, 10 years ago, again, behind the scenes, 10 years ago is when I actually moved to Charlotte from Chicago after spending my whole life in Chicago. So, I mean, I had a massive life overhaul, going on in my world all at that time. And I'd like to think 10 years later, I'm for the better for it.
Yep.
If I was still in the same position I was when I first moved out here, I mean, what a waste of 10 years it would be.
I mean, 10 years ago, I wasn't a daddy.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the world,
changes.
The world is upside down in comparison to where it was 10 years ago for everybody. And it is for these guys too. I mean, yeah, they both had legitimate gripes 10 years ago. I mean, with CM Punk, some of the injury stuff he said was going on. He said he was hurt. He had concussions. He had bursitis in his elbow. Whole world of stuff going on. And WWE wasn't really giving him that, let's get you taken care of thing. They were giving him more of that. We need you out there, buddy. Come on, load it up. WWE as a whole ain't like that no more.
No.
Anybody who's paid any attention to the product knows anytime a guy looks like he's a little bit hobbled or something like that, he kind of goes away. And
it's over. They'll stop.
You see him when you see him again. Yeah, there's not a situation where it's, especially now, where it's, hey, we really need you out there tonight. Yeah, they didn't need CM Punk. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. if Punk never came back to WWE, WWE was doing record business way before that. I mean, this is the most watched Survivor Series of all time with no CM Punk advertisement.
So there's something he said that Triple H said in the press conference that makes sense, but you honestly didn't know if it was going to happen. So he said, if the fans want it, we're going to try to do it.
Yep.
So the first evidence of that was Daniel Bryan.
Yep.
That was the first evidence of like, okay, the fans aren't going to stop.
Yeah, we have to.
This yes chant is taking over, so we're just going to have to book it and ride it. And,
we got to succumb to it at some point in time because they're gonna take over every single show until we do.
The way I'm not even going to say WWE universe. I'm going to say the way the wrestling universe was pushing for CM Punk to show back up on TV.
Yeah.
You know, hell, it didn't matter where it was.
No, but after what happened in AEW, I mean, the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
He needed to come back and right that wrong because, you know, while both sides had their gripes, you know, as I said a minute ago, both sides also had their wrongs in that situation.
Absolutely.
Too. You know, WWE didn't take care of their talent. They didn't do the right thing by Punk. But Punk, with his walking out and, you know, taking his ball and going home, and then all the podcasts and all the negative stuff he said and blah, 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 he had a wrong in that too. So both sides had to look at it and say, hey, we both had some legitimate gripes, but we both also played our hands wrong in this. Yeah. We both could have done better. Let's table all that and let's move forward to, as Punk said last night, make a lot of money and do some good business.
Got some thoughts on that. I'll get to them in a little bit here.
Okay.
But honestly, though, I mean, one of the hardest things to do in life is eat that piece of humble pie.
Yeah.
Eat that crow and admit, okay, yeah, I screwed up.
Yep.
And if you're willing to, you know, work with me again and try to forgive, you know, what I've done, you ain't got to forget it.
Yeah, nobody's going to forget.
Forgetting is hard to do.
Yeah.
But if you can forgive me and give me another shot, you know, let's see what can happen.
Yep.
And I think both parties were at that point. Does this all happen without Nick Khan?
No, I highly doubt it.
I highly doubt it too.
Because, I mean, let's be honest. Triple H has an ego.
Yeah.
CM Punk has an ego.
Everybody's got an ego.
Vince McMahon's got a massive ego.
He's got the cojones.
Exactly. So with the three of them involved in it, no, absolutely not. It wouldn't
happen. Yeah.
I don't see Stephanie going against her husband and her father that far along to make it happen. If she was in Nick Khan's role, like if there was no Nick Khan, that's where Stephanie was before they shared that role. I don't see her going against her husband and her father enough to say, well, I'm going to make it happen regardless of what you two think. So yeah, without I guess for the lack of a better term, you know, a freelancer in there to say, hey, I don't have no beef with none of y'all. I don't know what this is about, but I see so many dollar signs on the back end of this that we need to come together and make this right. Yeah, you kind of got to have an outside guy to say, hey, you know, put all that nonsense aside. Let's do business and let's get paid, and that's what they were able to do.
I think that's the beauty of Nick Khan and his role. He is that impartial person.
Yeah.
And he's able to break it down. He's like, look, I don't have any personal beef to bring to this conversation. What I can bring to this conversation is tell you business-wise what we could do.
Right. This is what I see being able to have. This is the end goal.
Yep.
You got to have somebody that can see, what do they see? Can see the forest for the trees.
Yep.
You got to have somebody that can see the forest and the trees. You got, somebody that can look at all of it and say, yeah, this part's going to suck. Like you just said, eating that humble pie. Both sides got to do it.
Yep.
That part's going to hurt on both angles. Nobody's going to love it. Nobody looks forward to it. But if we can do it and get past it, there's so much more on the other side that, there's so much potential on the other side to make a beautiful story, make beautiful music, make a boatload of money.
Yep.
Everything's out there, but we just got to get over this one last hurdle and you see where we go from there.
So Triple H, we've been giving you your flowers and telling you thank you for everything. Nick Khan, thank you.
Absolutely.
We'll give you the golf clap, sir.
There you go.
Give you the golf clap.
Got to give him his love on that. And while on the subject, apparently CM Punk, I said before, if WWE brought him in, it needs to be like a 1-year deal and kind of feel it out. I don't know, whatever they felt out, whatever they had that conversation about, apparently he's in for a few years.
He's in for a while.
So That's probably kind of like Cody's deal, kind of like a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
I figure, limited assignments. He's not going to be there every week, hopefully.
Yeah, I think, and this is where I think CM Punk in AEW went bad. I think he was overused.
Yeah.
He was overdone. He was involved in everything. He was a talent in the ring. He was trying to be a pseudo producer in the back. He was trying, they built a whole show around him, and he was trying to give input on this, that, and the other. I think for me, I just need CM Punk to stay in CM Punk's lane. That's what I need with him coming back. Did I have a problem with everything that was going on in AEW and all that stuff? Yeah, because it was high school bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't deal with drama even in my personal life. I don't deal with drama.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't care to see all of that. And when you got all that drama screwing up everything that I love in the world of professional wrestling to where I can't even hear about professional wrestling anymore. I got to hear about the drama. I'm over you at that point. I'm done.
And that was our stance on CM Punk. We both agreed maybe 6 months ago. If we never see this guy again, be it.
So be it. We were done.
Sounds good. Works for me. And I was way back in the day, I was a Punk fan. I'm from Chicago. He's local. He was Chi-Town hero. But that nonsense, because both sides played a part on it, it soured me on both sides. Unfortunately, you guys listen to these podcasts every week. I'm sure you hear some of our negative bias in AEW's window at certain times. And all that stems from this. We never had a bad word to say about it. I was super excited when they bought in CM Punk because whether or not he was gonna, turn the promotion upside down, I knew he was gonna bring more eyes to it and he was gonna bring more popularity to it, and it would help grow that business.
He was supposed to be the catalyst that could launch it to at least be in the same room with WWE. Maybe not compete, but at least bring them into the same room.
Right. They were going to be a bona fide number 2, with close to similar viewership, things like that. And he did for a little while. When he came in, their viewership spiked, everything was up, interest was there. They were selling out buildings everywhere they went. But unfortunately, because he was so much to the company, they couldn't use him in that sparring role that they kind of needed him to. They needed him to be at every event. They needed him to be in the back. They needed him doing everything because as he came in, Cody stepped out. So now you're leaving this big gaping hole of what the hell are we going to do? And now you got a guy pretty much on Cody's level. They've been in the business same amount of time, things like that. You got that guy coming in like, oh, well, this is plug and play. We'll just kind of put him in there and let's make something happen. Well, same thing happened when Punk left. They kind of took Daniel Bryan and plug and played him right into the same position.
Or John Moxley.
Yeah, or whoever else is there, whatever name they got, ex-WWE talent with some history under his belt. They're just plugging and playing these guys into these positions.
Yeah, and when you come down to it, though, when you look at what happened, it really don't matter who left the milk out on the counter. The point was the milk soured.
Absolutely.
And it didn't matter how it happened, how it went down, who was at fault, who had what part to play. I don't care about all of that. I just know that all that drama kind of wrecked a beautiful thing that was happening, and it was happening organically. The fans were pushing it. The fans had led it. And, we're not going to keep beating this bandwagon, but the fans are jumping off the bandwagon now. The fans aren't behind this anymore, and it's going to take something, again, being a catalyst for that to regrow and rebloom, so to speak, and come out of the shadow that it's starting to be pulled into. I don't want it to die. I don't want it to go away.
No, absolutely not.
WWE needs competition.
Guys need places to work.
They need places to work because you can't load up 111 people on Monday Night Raw and expect to have everybody to have 5-minute matches.
And it isn't going to work like it did before, where anybody who leaves WWE has to go to TNA because TNA don't have the budget no more to pay these guys what they're actually worth. Now, Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, he proved that there's a ton of money to be made on the indies. You can have a good career on the indie, but even when that becomes too saturated, then the well dries up. At some point in time, if everybody keeps going to it, that well's going to dry up. And then that's not going to be there. So you got to have major wrestling companies like a TNA,
we need
like
everybody
an AEW,
flourishing.
like a WWE.
Yep.
You gotta have so people can have jobs.
So we ain't sitting here rooting for AEW to go belly up because we're WWE marks. I'm pulling for AEW to one day not just be in the same room as WWE. I want them to compete with WWE.
That would make it way more fun.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. If we could recreate the Monday Night Wars with AEW, we'd be in. I mean, we're already in like the kind of the best era of wrestling.
Yep.
Definitely since the Attitude
we are
Era.
in a boom,
by far.
definitely.
But we actually may be eclipsing the Attitude Era at this point,
If it
just
keeps
because
going.
of global expansion, just because of streaming platforms, just because there's more ways to touch people. Even if we're quote unquote saying the ratings back then were. 10 million people were watching. Well, we don't know that for sure. I mean, 10 million people may have had 10 million viewers between both shows, but I know for a fact I was watching both shows. So, I mean, you say, it was probably more like 6 or 7 million were watching, and they were just watching both. But fact of the matter is, we ain't getting nowhere near 6 or 7 million people watching now on television.
Yep.
But when you look at the streams, I mean, they said CM Punk's return was the most streamed thing in WWE history, and they said
71 million views.
over 70 million views. So,
Right.
I mean, that ain't the same 2 million people that watch Monday Night Raw watching it 3,500 times.
Yep.
That's a whole lot of people that don't get to watch the product on pay-per-view and on Monday nights and Friday nights that were watching that stream because they're like, oh my God, this is the biggest thing I've seen in wrestling since I used to watch when I was a kid.
Yep. So let's get to another part of his return that we saw on Monday night. Let's get to the promo that he cut. And thank you, WWE, for making me wait 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
To see this man
You're going to
talk.
watch the whole show.
Because I sort of wanted to go to bed, but I kept going. I chucked through it. But let's talk about the promo. Let's talk about what he started off with. He started off with being thankful.
Yep.
He was very thankful. He was thankful that the fans never stopped chanting his name.
Yep.
They never stopped clamoring for him.
Which is true.
No matter where he was, how far he was gone from the business, or what he was saying. The man just he kept his name out there by proxy of the fan. He also said that he was back home. However cliche that sounds, but think about that for a minute. When you say that you've come back home, what does that mean? Does this mean that the only place that felt like home was WWE? Or does it feel like, hey, I've come back to a promotion that I feel at home in? Like
Probably a little bit of both.
Like where I was a foreign country once before.
Yeah.
And now I'm back home where it's more familiar and I feel loved again.
Yeah.
To me, I look at Punk. I don't know that I see WWE as his home. I mean, he cut his teeth and made his name in the Indies. I see more Ring of Honor as his home.
Well, kind of like we talked about before. I don't know if we recorded it. I don't know if we talked in the podcast or just in general conversation, but we were talking about Ospreay and the internet wrestling community. The IWC loves Ospreay, calls him the best in the world, love him to death. The other 100 million people in the world, besides the 20,000 people on the internet, now I no clue who he is. Same thing with CM Punk. Had CM Punk not spent 8 years running through WWE, the majority of wrestling fans wouldn't have any clue who he is.
Good point.
So he made his name. He may have cut his teeth in all the indies, but he made his name in WWE.
Yeah.
The fans are only chanting his name at every venue all across the world for the last 10 years he was gone because of those 8 years he spent in WWE. So when you look at, I mean, he said it in his promo. He said, the only reason he's able to afford to live the lifestyle he lives and do the things that he's done is because of WWE. He had no money. I mean, he had wrestled in TNA before. There was no WWE, Ring of Honor and all that. It wasn't paying the bills like WWE paid the bills.
Right.
That's a fact no matter how you swing it. AEW, I'm sure he made a pretty penny in there, but look how that worked out. I mean, he got, what, a year? One good year? And, before the wheels fell off?
Yep.
So because he had his time in WWE, that's what made him who he is today. So if anything's going to be home, I see that as his home because I'd never seen him before at WWE.
So let's talk about the last statement he made. And we haven't discussed this yet. Let's talk about the last statement he made. He didn't make it to the fans in the arena. He cut it towards the camera. Mm-hmm. He looked at the camera and he says, I ain't here to make friends.
Yep.
I'm here to make money.
Yep.
What do you take on that?
My take on it is he's finally being real.
Okay.
He's finally that was probably the most real statement he said in 15 years because he left So the last 5 at because he always, I'm the voice of the voiceless. I'm just here for the little guy. I'm here for. Nah, hell, you're here for the money. I mean, nobody gets into wrestling and does the damage they do to their bodies for a good time. Okay, they all do that because at some point in time, all the way down to your lowest indie to your Hulk Hogan, all of them did it because at some point they said, one day I want to headline a WrestleMania and I want to make a lot of money. You don't go out and run into traffic and throw your body in front of a Mack truck for fun.
Yep.
Even the jackass guys that do it, they got a lot of money to do that stuff. So at the end of the day, he got real and said, you know what? This is a business. I realize it's a business and I'm here to make money. And my name is going to make me a lot of money. So damn it, I'm going to capitalize on it.
So you're hitting on what he talked about. Dusty told him the only way to be in this business is be real, speak the truth.
Yep.
And he said, look, I once also heard from a wise man, and we know who the wise man is.
Absolutely.
Talking about Paul.
Uh-huh.
He's like, I once heard from a wise man, if I want to get everything out of this company that I want, I'm going to have to leave and come back.
I have to leave it. Yep.
Okay. So with all that said, you're on target. I think CM Punk in that moment was being Phil Brooks.
Yeah. And now, like you said, he looked at the camera. It was a one-on-one conversation with him to him.
I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money.
Right.
Here's my take on it. They swerved us again.
Okay.
That is heel CM Punk. And that's the version of CM Punk we're going to get. I think we're going to get a heel, greedy-ass version of CM Punk, and he's a mercenary. He's going to pull off that Brock Lesnar character. I ain't here to be friends with you. I ain't here to elevate you in a match. I'm here because I'm getting a payday, and I'm going to whoop your ass. I think that's where they're going with him.
So one part of that, and I noticed it, so when Seth came out, he was talking trash about CM Punk.
Yep.
And then when Punk came out, and he was talking trash about, the guys in the back. Yep. I didn't get a warm welcome from everybody. I'll be completely honest. As I'm looking at Seth and Punk, I'm looking like, damn, this ain't Vince's WWE at all, because those are the most unimposing looking guys. I mean, hell, they're a shade bigger than the AEW roster. So now when Drew was out there saying, like when Drew kicked Seth's ass all around there and cut his head open with the headbutt, that looked real because Drew was big and Drew was beating the hell out of him. When I'm looking at, Punk's my height. So he's, he's about 6 foot, I'm 5'10". I'm like 235 because I'm overweight. Punk's probably a good 215. I'm looking at him like, I wish he would do all this trash talking to me in here, but this is a new day and age in WWE.
So the reason why I say that is because I don't think they're going to turn Seth heel. I think they're going to keep him babyface.
Was Seth ever really a babyface?
So he walks that line. I mean, he toes the line. I mean, the only true babyface that I've seen lately is Cody.
Yeah, he's the only one.
He's the only one.
I mean, the only one main event status. You got some lower guy like New Day. They're always going to be babyfaces, but they're definitely mid card. But yeah, as far as babyfaces, you got Cody and a bunch of tweeters.
So I don't think they're going to turn Seth though. I don't think they're going to go that direction. I think what's going to happen is there's going to be, and I texted you last night. I think there's going to wind up being a triple threat between Punk, Drew, and Seth. And I think somehow or another, Punk is going to weasel his way out on top with the belt. And I think you're going to see Seth chase Punk for the belt back all the way to Mania. And
instead of the other way around.
Yep. And I think that's what's going to happen. You're going to get a heel Punk and a face Seth.
At the end of the day, Punk's biggest gripe, like his I'm walking out the door gripe, was he felt like they took his WrestleMania moment away from him. He never got to main event WrestleMania.
Seth has gone on record as saying that as well. He's never got the main event. So, I mean, for both of those guys to get the main event in Mania, it just kind of squashes that right there. Yeah.
I can see that. I kind of think it's going to end up going in just because of Triple H's hesitancy to pull the titles off of guys and all that, for one. And for two, I don't see Roman dropping the belt at Mania 40, regardless of who he wrestles. I don't see him dropping that belt.
Cody.
Once again, you guys are setting yourselves up for this. Poor Dave LaGreca.
I will die on this hill, sir. I will die on this hill.
You did already, and this will be like the rebirth, re-resurrection, and then re-death all over.
I'm just gonna pick up my flag then. It's just still standing.
You and LaGreca, because LaGreca's gonna rant his ass off the day after WrestleMania 40, because Cody ain't winning, at least not Roman's belt. But nonetheless, if that doesn't happen, it seems like the alternative, at least from my perspective, would be Punk going over Seth to flip-flop that belt at WrestleMania. That gives the fans their moment, because I don't see CM Punk going heel. The fans want to cheer him too much, so I don't feel like they'll force him to go heel. I feel like him and Seth will tween kind of in the middle. He may eventually go heel. I mean, because let's be honest, the CM Punk shine wears off anywhere he goes. I mean,
he doesn't work good as a face, though. He works better as a heel.
So
he's a natural heel.
True, but you just got to remember
it's the whole
Philly crowd. So Philly crowd's a lot like Chicago crowd, where
it's rough and
if
rockets,
they want to cheer you, they don't care what your storylines say. They don't care how your angle. If they want to say CM Punk all night, they're gonna say CM Punk all night.
It's kind of like Rock Hogan. I mean,
same difference.
Yeah.
When Hogan came out there, I mean, he tried his damnedest to be a heel in that, and the fans weren't having it. They couldn't care less. So same difference in Philly. If they want to cheer CM Punk, they won't care about storyline. All they're gonna want to do is say CM Punk all night. And if WWE is gauging that, and that's how they feel it's gonna go, I feel like they'll end up giving Punk his win at WrestleMania, give him the title, let him main event night one. Sorry, Charlotte and Bianca and Jade, if you come in. Sorry, y'all just got bumped. Unfortunately, y'all are going to open now, because I predicted them being able to main event. At least Jade and one of those girls being able to main event. That's bumped. That's out the way.
Roman's got one night and Punk's got the other night.
Absolutely. I mean, it ain't going no other way at this point. And Cody's going to factor into some of that somewhere. And Seth, and if he's still the champion, then he's going to factor in it too. But more likely, those two guys are going to be taking some falls, and Roman will be Roman. And although I guess it would be ironic if the two AEW guys came in and both of them took a fall at 40, and then two Shield guys went over. That would be ironic.
So speaking of that, and we got to wrap this up. So let's talk.
Oh, well, we got to quit bringing in new topics late in the game.
I'm serious, but we got to talk about one more thing. Everybody thought that he was going to get on that mic last night and just completely decimate AEW and leave them bleeding out on the floor.
Yeah, I didn't.
And there was a lot of people disappointed that he didn't say anything about it. He didn't give a nod to it. There was nothing there. But unfortunately, those people don't remember. What's the best way to bury somebody?
Yeah, you completely don't acknowledge them.
Don't acknowledge
them at all. They don't even exist. You give them zero attention. You don't want anybody to even start thinking those letters when you think of CM Punk. You want everybody to say HOME, not AEW.
And if anything, if he did anything last night, I think that was one of the ways that it happened, along with Triple H doing it a couple times in the press conference.
Well, I was going to say, Triple H buried AEW enough at the press conference that they didn't even really need to bring it up at all.
Telling that Jade Cargill was improperly trained.
Yep. Even Cody got a jab in at the press conference when he came out with this whole glasses thing, and then he was like, wait a minute, my old EVP stuff was kicking in. Then he laughed and put those glasses away and just had some fun.
All right, so you've heard what we've had to say. What are your thoughts on CM Punk returning to the WWE? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Do you care? Do you wish he would have just never came back? Drop us a line on our social media platforms. Tell us your thoughts. Obviously, just hearing me and Frank talk about it today, we think it's a good thing. We think it's a great thing for professional wrestling, but let us know your thoughts, and will he survive in WWE in the new landscape? I don't even know where to begin with that.
We shall see.
We shall see. But with that, we thank you for listening to our podcast today, and we bid you adieu.
It's clobbering time.
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.